Today we shall return to the work of Josef K. Šlejhar, the man to whom life is a series of unendurable suffering, pain, subjugation, injustice, shattered hopes, and mockery, and whose work we already covered in episodes 183 and 213. Impressions of Nature and Society was his first book and was published in 1894. Here he writes far shorter fiction than he would in his succeeding books, which, in my opinion, is as good as his longer fiction, and it is a shame he never truly returned to the short story format. Two Moments is the story of a vagabond sneaking on to an abandoned farm during a war, and there torturing the old dog guarding it, until, after a beating and a stern warning from a passing military officer, he does it again and is hanged by the soldiers. Mr. Starling focuses on a starling raising his family in a tree, and how he gets mauled by a cat, and then gets eaten by a girl from a nearby house. The snake has several boys torture a snake before one of their mothers takes a stick and beats it to death. The Little Bird is an ideal representation of Šlejhar's writing. It is the story of an impoverished barber who finds and saves a small bird that his son loves. The bird's owner, a wealthy merchant, comes to fetch the bird for himself, and then the barber's son becomes ill and wants the bird for company. So the barber sells his clothes to buy back the bird, but the son dies of a fever, his mother freezes to death on his grave, and while looking for her, the barber leaves the door open so that when he comes home, the bird had frozen to death, and thus the barber hangs himself. In The Haystack has a vagabond hide in a haystack during a terribly cold winter night, but is harassed and attacked by a farm dog, who then ends up killing his child. The Wasp focuses on a man driven insane by a wasp imprisoned in his bookshelf, driving him utterly insane. Before the Fair has a small girl forced to take care of her disabled uncle, while he begs at the fair, who continually abuses her, until the day he strangles her. The doe has a poacher catch a doe and wishing to sell it for meat, but the orphan who lives in his hut sets it free, which angers the poacher, who wishes to beat the boy, which makes the boy run off, but when he is climbing a tree, a branch breaks underneath him, and he falls to his death over a cliff. In Still Life, an impoverished family leaves their home at night because of unpaid rent, leaving their sick daughter to die of pneumonia alone, without even leaving her a blanket. The Sick Apple Tree concerns a woman who falls sick when the tree planted on her wedding day does, eventually dying along with the tree. In The Village has an old man, former owner of a farm, abused and forced to pick potatoes despite being old and infirm, before being chased off the field by a dog for trying to pick a handful of leftover potatoes to not starve to death. Mother has a lumberjack beat his son to near death, and after the son dies, the boy's grief-stricken mother gets sick and dies as well, because of course she does. This collection contains one of Šlejhar's few positive stories, a tale of a pleasant Christmas Eve, but that will definitely not become a theme. Otherwise it is the same hopeless, grim stuff as all his other books.